Raider Nation? It's your boy Raiderdamus here, back with another Friday Foretelling, as always by popular demand. Raiderdamus is fresh off a successful prediction of another Raiders loss in Houston, but it's onward and upward around here. The Raiders have a great shot to make the playoffs in a weak AFC if they can get the ball rolling with their upcoming stretch of games, many of which are at home. And they do have the fourth easiest remaining schedule in the entire NFL, so if they can get some wins under their belt, they have a pretty good shot. So the Raiders this week are finally back home in Oakland after their brutal road trip, which saw them pick up big wins in Indianapolis and in London against the Bears. Can they win this week? Well, I'm about to find out, because I have asked the great Beyond for his input, and here is the message that I received. Well, it was as I predicted last week. The Raiders couldn't secure the win in Houston. Deshaun Watson was simply too much, and the Raiders' defense was simply too little. But that was then, and this is now. Who do you got this week? The Lions. Do we have to pick on them? I mean, it's just sad. Nah. We'll put on our big boy pants today. We'll do what must be done. I mean, there's nothing I can say here about the Lions that hasn't been said before by the Lions fans themselves. They're good sports about all this. And if they do try to shut me up or silence me, well, that would be illegal hands to the face, and I would end up winning anyway. Every year, the Lions faithful line up to get their season tickets to see the Lions play, and they make sure to buy a ticket for the Quick Lane Bowl as well, which takes place at Ford Field, because that's the only chance they will get to see somebody win a postseason game in Detroit. In the last 25 years, there have been 4 teams which have won the division the Lions are in: the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, and of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Lions haven't won a playoff game since January of 1992. At that time, Kurt Cobain had not yet married Courtney Love, and nevermind didn't hit number 1 on the charts until a week later. Bill Clinton wouldn't be inaugurated president for another year. The movie Lion King is a good analogy for the Detroit Lions, but only if you stop watching right after Mufasa dies. And it's not as though Detroit can't have nice things. To the contrary, the Lions have boasted in their history some of the greatest players in the NFL of all time, and they've done absolutely nothing with them. The Lions did what Optimus Prime was never able to do. They destroyed Megatron. Now, Barry Sanders played for Detroit for 10 years. It's quite a long time for a running back to have a career with one team. The debate over who was better between Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith was always kind of an unfair one, because the obvious argument was that if Sanders played behind Dallas's offensive line, he'd rush for 200 yards a game, and nobody can really argue with that. He would have been amazing. But Detroit had all the opportunity in the world to draft and develop a quality offensive line and a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, and in that whole decade that they had Sanders, they just didn't. And Sanders' talent bailed them out time and time again, and they made the playoffs more often than not than when they had him. And then one day, Barry Sanders got the Madden curse, and he promptly retired, lest Andy Reid make him run a quarterback sneak into a stacked line. Sanders played for head coach Wayne Fontes, who was the Vance Joseph of his generation. Fontes had tons of talent on both sides of the ball, because the Lions drafted pretty well in the early 90s at every position except quarterback and offensive line. Unfortunately for Fontes, those are the positions that mean the most in the playoffs, and he got fired in 1996. Upon receiving news that he was being canned, Fontes grabbed his can opener because maybe there would be some beans inside. In 2007, the federal government bailed out the U.S. major car companies, including Ford themselves. But nobody bothered to bail out Detroit's most bankrupt institution, the Lions, who went 0-16 that year. If the Lions were smart, they'd move to another city and find success, like the Browns did. It's not like the Lions, or should I say the Portsmouth Spartans, haven't moved before. I like to bust on the Browns a lot around here. It's kind of my favorite thing to do. But Cleveland does have one redeeming quality, and that is, it is not Detroit. The city of Detroit is more violent from the Lions players in the game of football, and it's more corrupt than the referees, who do to the Lions every week what Christopher Columbus did to the natives he found when he discovered America. The Lions quarterback is Matt Stafford, who was a fine young man with a big arm, a big heart, and 17 concussions. He's had more broken ribs than he's had barbecue ribs. The Lions are like a person with really low self-esteem. Oh, I have something good in my life. I don't deserve it, so I'm going to destroy it. For many years, Stafford has been the only good thing about the Lions. And even today, they can't win unless he has a great game. And even when he does have a great game, they often lose. Stafford throwing the ball is like letting go of a helium balloon. You don't know where it's going, but you know you're not getting that ball back. And even though they are terrible and have been for 70 years, the Lions play on national television every single Thanksgiving. They are the worst part about Thanksgiving, even worse than your aunt's Jell-O salad. The Lions ruin a great holiday like getting dumped on Valentine's Day or getting arrested on 4th of July for setting off those fireworks you bought on the Indian reservation, or when your weird uncle talks about Bernie Sanders at Christmas dinner. Thanksgiving doesn't need the Lions because nobody is thankful for them. The question here is not which team is better. The Raiders are better. That's a given. There's no question about that. The question is, which team are the referees going to screw over more? The Raiders and the Lions are the two teams that zebras love to persecute and hate on the most. The refs could have some static in their headsets and they'd call interference. A ref could trim a hangnail and he'd call clipping. A ref could eat some chicken for lunch before the game and he'd call personal foul. We're going to see more yellow in this game than in a Pennzoil commercial and more flags than the Olympics. The referees' efforts will be in vain because somebody actually has to win this game. It will be the home team this time, and the Raiders will win 31-26. And there you have it, folks. That's what the Great Beyond has to say for the game on Sunday. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and share and comment and do all the normal things you do when you watch a YouTube video. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Till next week.